Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Jennifer Cuartas here. Wanted to say a quick hello and a thank you for all of you who are joining me live. I know that quarantine has our schedules all kind of chaotic right now, and for some of you guys, you're experiencing life for the first couple of months now with our children at home and trying to figure out how do we balance homeschooling them, working, finding a quiet space so you can look at opportunities like this. So just know I've been there. And I respect your hustle, and I'm going to be very respectful of your time. So I suggest that you grab a beverage of your choice, grab a pen, grab some paper. I'm going to run through this information pretty quickly, and then you're probably going to want to capture down my contact details at the very end of this so we can get your questions answered. So one of the things that I'm going to be covering today is a position that we are currently filling by the masses right now, which is for virtual financial coaches. You all know that I am super passionate when it comes to helping families, and my job on a daily basis rewards me in ways much bigger than income. But what we do is we help families to prevent financial tragedies by getting them properly protected, getting them out of debt, because debt is not good for any of us and we all have too much of it, and helping people to become financially independent. So when things like what we're dealing with now come up, unexpected emergencies happen, life shows up and hands you some lemons, you've got to figure out now, how to get out of that scenario. And a lot of people weren't prepared for this. So that's actually one of the biggest reasons right now that our company is in such an expansion. So we definitely need to bring on other people who want to work from home in a rewarding career where you can have time freedom. Why I decided to switch from what is traditionally in insurance and financial services a belly to belly or kneecap to kneecap business model is because technology has zoomed past that type of archaic dinosaur model. And I realized pretty early on into my career, mind you, I've been working from home for myself for the past 10 years. July 5th will actually be 11 years that I've been working for myself from home and helping others to do the same. But for the last 5 years, I have specifically been building in the financial services and insurance industry. And I realized that we could touch a lot more people and help a lot more families to be protected if we're not driving around in a car all day to appointments that cancel or that don't show up, or that, let's say, in a perfect world, they all showed up. You can only help so many people when half of your time is in a vehicle driving, getting to a destination, printing out paperwork at Office Depot, getting onto your GPS and, trying to find that next appointment. When we could actually use technology that's already there for us, work a position from our home, do the exact same job from your home office, and earn a substantial income while doing it, keeping your overhead very low, saving you on gas, saving you on all of that time, and being able to reach out to a lot more people because social media allows us to connect, right? So that allowed me over the past couple of years to have a decent income, to be able to have a chance to create memories with my family, expand my business model in a way that had never been done before in this industry, and helping people like you who are on here right now looking for a career, not just a business opportunity, but a career that you can actually do in all 50 states without ever getting on a plane. So that's pretty big shoes. But the good thing is that we have been doing this for years, and we have a system in place for all of you who are just now really looking at having to homeschool your babies, having to shift from working in a traditional job and trying to figure out how to do it from home. And right now, there's a lot of the blind leading the blind. So the best thing is to come on board with a group like mine that can actually help you shorten that learning curve because we've been there, done it. So here's what a virtual financial coach does. All right, it's super simple. We educate the public about money, about how it works, about the one thing that makes the world go around, that nobody sits us down and physically says, this is how you protect it, save it, and use it to work for you to get out of debt with it. And so obviously you might be saying, well, I don't know anything about that, which is why we have a full training system in place and why we're going to make sure that you even get the schooling needed to be super successful in this career. So here's what I mean about why the system that's in place is kind of broken, okay? And why we need financial coaches more now than we ever did before. The world woke up one day in a pandemic and we were told life had to change. We couldn't go out in public like we did. Businesses started shutting down. And this old model of working 40 years for 40 hours to live on 40% of our income kind of smacked a lot of people around right now. It's kind of hitting us in the face because we're realizing that that model doesn't work. And when you sit somebody down and they're a client of yours and you say, listen, I'm going to ask you a question. How many years have you been working? And then you actually tally out, and I suggest you all do this for yourselves. You actually tally out, okay, they were 15 when they started working, they're 45 now, they've been working for 30 years, they're 15 years from thinking about retirement and 20 from making it happen, yet they don't know how they're going to eat next week. So if you sit down and you take all the years that you've worked, and multiply that by the amount of income on average that you earned every year, you'll see that most of you, if you're in your early to late 40s, you're going to see you've earned over $1 million in your career path already. But where is it? How much of that money do you have right now at your disposal to pay for 30 years of retirement when you retire at 65 and you live until 95 years old? So here's the thing. Just about 90% of the United States right now is looking at themselves in the mirror going, what do I do? And we have that solution for them. And if you don't speak up and you don't share that, you might cost them an opportunity that nobody else is going to tell them about and they desperately need. Because here's the real truth of the scenario that most people are living in right now. It's life or death. You have to go to the bank and put in your ATM card and pull out 100% of the money that you've earned and saved for the last 30 or 40 years of your life. So right now, think about it. I don't want you to tell me what the amount of money is in your bank. You know how much money is in there, and you know how much of the money that you've worked so hard for you've been able to save up and put aside. So I'm going to ask you a very hard question, and this is the same question I ask all my clients. You had a life and death crisis right now that required you to go to the bank, put your ATM card in, pull 100% of the money out right now, everything you have. How big of a problem can you solve? Does it solve a life or death problem? Or does it solve a little problem? How many months, if you could never work again, how many months could you live before you're talking to the power company going, well, I can't pay this month? And if you could never earn another penny, you were disabled. How many years? Because you plan on living a very long time like I do, I'm sure. So how many years could you live on the money that's in the bank right now? Because if you're like most people, and with all due respect, I know a lot of you guys on this call right now are in the financial services industry and your scenario might be different today. But think about what it was when you started out in this business. Or if you're new to this industry, think about what it is right now for you. Do you have 10 years of income? Excuse me, I have the hiccups now. Do you have 10 years of income set aside to be able to live on? Most people will say no to that. So here's how we help people, is we identify for them the scary things that happen in life, which are the two greatest, biggest financial tragedies. Everybody is going to experience this on one side or the other. You just never know until it happens which side do you fall on. So some people are going to pass away too soon. And others, they're going to live way too long. And you might be saying, well, how could that be a problem? So here's what happens. On the left side of the screen right now, you see a little diagram at the bottom. And on the left side of the screen, this represents today. This represents the earlier years in your life. This represents the time in your life when you have young children, you're building a family, you're making the big purchases like your cars, maybe a boat, maybe a golf cart, maybe a house. This is when you're creating the most debt in your life possible. Like it's just happening, right? So our responsibility to take care of others is really high. And the savings that we're seeing at this point in our life, you see the green arrow is very low on this side. So we have to play the defense model. We have to establish emergency funds for things like what we're dealing with right now. Who expected this to happen? Who expected a weird bat virus to be killing people across the world? Like, just think about that for a minute. Nobody expected this to happen. Yet here we are. People are upset and they're trying to figure out how to open the country up, keep us safe, and still pay our bills. Yet we have a vehicle right now. We have the tools available to us right now to help everybody, that wants the help. So on the other side of this screen, you see where the tragedy falls when people live too long. They outlive their income. At this point in your life, having emergency funds and having life insurance in the form of income protection, and wills, great, but you don't need insurance at this point in your life. What you need is savings. What you need is 30 years of electricity, water, clothing, food, car, insurance, medical bills. Your mortgage might be paid, but what about everything else that keeps you sustaining? Well, what happens is these elderly people, and it may be you one day if you don't figure this out for your family, you might be taking care of somebody who didn't properly plan, and you're going to do it because you love them. But it's not the way that it should be. These plans are in place so that we have the right offense, so we can eliminate debt, so that we can grow our savings with investment plans. So we have to put these plans in place, not only for ourselves, but for other people. And you have to protect yourself before you help others. So first, we're going to teach you how to do it. And then we're going to teach you how to help others to prevent these financial tragedies as well. Because if somebody dies too soon, they're leaving behind a spouse who's got to figure out a new life, who's got to figure out how to replace that person's income if they don't have a plan in place. To figure out how to continue to keep a roof over their head, put their kid through college, pay the extra medical bills that just smacked them around a little bit, and then figure out how to pay their respects in the greatest way possible. The last dying wish that they're doing for somebody that they loved. This is their last love letter. You want to honor that person. You don't want to be putting up a GoFundMe account and trying to figure out how much people care in the middle of a pandemic when no one has the money to give you, and instead they're going to show up with some flowers. Would you rather flowers or a $500,000 check? Because they both cost the same per month. And so this is what we do. It's important. And we need passionate people to get out there and save the people in their community from these financial tragedies. And to do that, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for somebody to come in, represent this brand, and help as many people as possible, because we are not a captive agency, but we are definitely captivating because we've partnered with some of the most strategic companies in the financial services industry to help the masses. We're not a one product company, one product fits all people, because people are not that way. And that's the downfall that a lot of companies out there in this space are facing, is that they offer one product and then kind of whoever doesn't fit into that box, into that model, and can't get coverage, well, sorry. Well, here we have so many different avenues to help people. Everything from disability policies to term policies to IULs to retirement accounts to helping them pay for college. Because what we are meant to do is to educate the communities on how to build a really solid, secure financial house. So, how do we do that? Well, by looking at the graphic on your screen right now, we're going to start at the bottom. And you see where it says income protection. We'll see the foundation of a house is the most important, right? It is the most solid part of the structure because it doesn't matter how strong the walls are or the roof is. If the foundation of the house is not secured, the whole rest of the structure falls. It just breaks apart. And so the financial side of this is the exact same. It's identical. So we have to establish income protection in form of life insurance and also helping them to put a will in place. And our job is identifying which insurance product, which one's right for them. That's where our knowledge and our skill comes in, okay? But the second thing is that we teach our societies to generate debt naturally. And our parents didn't do that to us on purpose. It's what they knew. When there's an emergency, you grab for a credit card. Why? Because we live paycheck to paycheck. There's no emergency funds, right? And so we get them out of debt. We have products that do that, which actually will provide them with income protection and get them out of debt, which is unheard of, okay? Then we show them how to have an emergency fund. Now, we'll start small. We'll start with 1 month of bills, then we'll go to 3, and then we'll go to 6. And this is going to take a little bit of time. So you have a long-term client here. And that's what builds wealth, right? Keeping the retention of our clients. And now we've got them protected. They have a will in place. They got out of debt. They have emergency funds. So what's the next most important thing? Is securing their future when they can't work anymore, when, their health just isn't playing nice and they have to retire. They want to enjoy those older years in their life. Then for the people who have children, we look at college funds. We look at securing that to give them a good jump start and for it not to put them into a situation where they're gasping, trying to figure out how they're going to pay for things. We have these plans that years in advance, the person with the right knowledge can just shed a little bit of light on a scenario. And then now is when we can show them cash flow. We have a business model where they can come in, learn what it is that we do, and they can earn by doing the exact same thing. Because one of 3 things is going to happen with every single person that I talk to, that you talk to, that any of my agents talks to. That's either they're going to join us, or they're going to help themselves and become a client, or they're going to give us a couple of names so we can help other people to do the same thing. And so, but here's the problem, okay? Most people's financial house looks like this. It's completely flipped upside down. And the structure looks more like this. They make a little bit of cash flow and they spend it on the car, the house, the vacations. And then they start looking at their kids like, I can't pay for your college right now, so you have to get really good grades so you can get a scholarship. Because I can't even figure out my retirement. And then when an emergency happens, I have to grab for my credit card, putting myself in more debt. To think about protecting my income, I can't even consume that thought because all I'm trying to think about is back to number 6. The cycle keeps going. How do I earn more cash flow to keep this cycle going? So what I want is strong people who care, who want to support their community, and help their house look more like this, where we can perfectly set it up for them and give them that edge. So when things like what happened with coronavirus and this pandemic, when things like this, it might not be this serious, but when inconveniences show up in their life, they're not scared to death about what's going to happen next month. Because you're not always going to have a governor there that's going to stop evictions or a president that's going to send out a stimulus check. At some point in your life, and in some point in every single client that you come across in their life, they're going to be facing one of those two financial tragedies. So which one do you want to help them with? I say both. In order to do that, we have to be licensed. It is a financial services business. We are regulated by the insurance commissioners in each state that we do business in. So you have to have a little bit of schooling to be able to do that. Unfortunately, if you have any felonies, I cannot bring you on board. But outside of that, I can help you to get your fingerprints done, get you licensed. If you already have an agency, we can show you how to just submit your license, submit your E&O, start getting appointed with carriers. For those of you who are experienced, we are a great vehicle to add extra carriers because you saw we have about 20 different carriers that you can work with. So you can use this as just a leveraging tool to be able to utilize something that we definitely put as a priority, is that we make sure our entire team has leads, has incentives, and we will welcome with open arms any independent agents who are new or experienced. We'll make sure that you have the best tools available to expand your business, retain your clients, and grow into an agency leader if that's what you choose to do. My background and the background of some of our leadership team prior to coming into the insurance side of things, we were on the real estate side. And so I'm going to tell you guys, stop giving away your commissions, please. Stop giving them away to people who don't care about your client like you do, because you could potentially earn an additional commission on every house that you've ever sold. Because if there's one thing I've learned, is that you may not remember who you sold a house to February 2nd of 2015, but I guarantee you that person you sold a house to on February 2nd of 2015 knows exactly who you are. They remember you. They trust you and they respect you. You were a big part of their life, and they think about you all the time because you sold them that beautiful house that keeps their family safe and secure, and that they're now quarantined in, staring at all of those walls. Now, when you sold them that house, you weren't thinking about 30 years of that person's life, and that you just sold them their biggest debt and what happens if some idiot takes them out at a red light next week. You weren't thinking about that, but it's because you weren't trained to. But guess who was thinking about it? The vultures who are going to send your client a stack of letters trying to get them to buy mortgage protection insurance from them the minute you close on that house. So why do they deserve an extra $1,500 commission or $1,000 commission? Realistically, you earned that. So let me show you how to stop giving that away, because the commissions are being earned. Don't you think that you deserve to earn it? And the last set of groups that I work with, which actually takes up the biggest portion of our business, is agency partnerships. I know that your agents are always struggling. They're struggling for leads. They're struggling for retention of appointments. They're showing up. People are not there. They're canceling on them. We have the perfect system that solves those problems. I'm not saying 100% of your clients are going to show up to their appointment as they say that they are, but our incentive program, it really gives them a reason to want to show up to that appointment, and to allow you to provide them with an education for 20 minutes, and then help them to make a decision on whether or not your insurance product is right for them. The best thing is that it's not going to cost you anything extra to provide that, because I'm going to make sure, and my team leadership is going to make sure that for our team, I can't speak for anybody else, but for our team, you're going to get that at no cost to you, which is a game changer. Because now we're going to increase your appointments. We're going to increase the ability for you to get referrals. But we're also going to give you access to lots of A+ rated insurance carriers, and financial vehicles to be able to help your clients in the best way possible. So we are non-captive, like I mentioned before, so you can use this in addition to what you're doing with no problems, or you can actually replace what you're currently doing if it's not working for you and help us to provide the incentive program and increase your productivity. So some of the perks that we offer, we do offer a car allowance. We have really great company retreats. The best thing that I like is our mortgage allowance, lead generation tools, incentives, like I mentioned before, for your client retention. We have some of the highest payouts in the industry, and the opportunity that no other company is going to give to you is equity ownership. So with that said, definitely please feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a text message. You can send me an email. You can jump over to my website, take a look. But let me help you to create the life you desire so you can finally live the life you deserve. And join us on this journey of helping as many people as possible. We will help 1,000 families this year. I'd love to have you come on that journey with us. Thank you once again. Make it a fantastic day, and I look forward to working with you soon. Bye-bye.